Scott, we're 10 days into the renovation here. A lot's changed, as you can see over your shoulder. Just tell us what's going on.
Basically what we've done is we've removed the turf that was installed in January. We've gone back to the Desso surface which was installed a few years ago. We've top dressed the surface, which is the sand areas and that you can see out there. We've then started the process of growing a pitch in by seed, which was done on Sunday. So we were seeded on Sunday. We're 5 days from seed now. It's a bit of a waiting game really, to be honest, in terms of waiting for something to grow, waiting for it to start popping and go from there really.
It was only relayed in January, and most fans will say it looked pretty good towards the end of the season. So why is this process happening?
To be honest, it's something that's quite common. We do it mainly to provide a decent surface for the first team for next season. We do it as well to remove any sort of any weed grasses or anything like that grows, to give ourselves a true surface, something that's level, something that the ball rolls on properly. The turf surface that we had towards the end of last season gets a little bit bumpy, and obviously the players like it slickened up so the ball moves quickly. That obviously enhances the bobbles and stuff like that with a turf pitch. What you get with the Desso surface that we've got here is you get a true roll, so the ball will roll as opposed to bobble, stuff like that. If we don't do this process, you sort of eliminate that from happening really. So you're not providing a true surface.
And how much influence do the players have on a match day then?
So basically, I mean, the players have an influence on the height of cut. That normally comes from the manager, so the length of the grass. We tend to start quite short at the beginning of the season at 22 millimetres. We then gradually step it up to 25 millimetres, and then probably around 28 in the winter, just to give us a little bit more protection. The players on a match day will have an influence on how much water I put on the pitch. I set the pitch up to where I think it's ready, give or take a few millimetres of water. The players will then say to me, "Look, Scott, we want the ball to move quicker," or "Don't water. We'd like the ball to hold up a little bit more," something like that. So my professional opinion, I can judge that myself, but it's something that is tailored to the players depending on who the opposition are as well.
Just explain a little bit more about the process as well, because over the last 10 days we've seen a lot of tractors and diggers coming in and out. So what have they been doing?
So the initial process was to remove the turf. So we had 40 mil of turf, which we removed in 15 millimetre increments. We've then managed to get it clean, get back to the Desso. We've had sort of 30 mil of Desso standing up, of which we've then applied 140 tonne of sand. The sand's been worked in to stand the Desso fibres up, levelled. We've aerated it to relieve compaction, because you do get a build-up of compaction over the season, and then seeded, fertilised, put to bed.
And you mentioned a lot about Desso. Just for us and the fans, just explain a little bit more about what Desso is and how important it is.
Desso is it's a reinforcement system. So the pitch that we've got out there is 100% sand. It's 10 inches deep, of which Desso is artificial fibres which are stitched 8 inches down. They then loop and come back up. There's 20 million of those out there, approximately. What happens then is when we grow the grass in from seed, the roots grow down, wrap themselves around the Desso, and that acts as a reinforcement system to stop the grass itself from pulling out.
And obviously it's chilly conditions out there today. We're in early June. I mean, do the weather conditions play a big factor in the pitch?
Yeah, massively. I mean, from my point of view now, I wouldn't like to be standing here after putting seed in the ground in a puffer jacket. But unfortunately I am, so that will slow things down slightly. In June you'd imagine that it would be nice and warm, ideal conditions for growing grass. We've obviously got the irrigation systems out here, so we can water ourselves. We don't need to rely on rain and stuff like that. But the warmth would be nice, definitely, just to get it going.
And what sort of time schedule are we looking at on this project out here?
Well, obviously we've seeded now, so we're doing a little bit of work around the edges. You can see the lads up the top there that are just putting in some sand and stuff around the edges just to level off by the curbs. We've got a little bit more to do with that, just to make sure that all the edges grow in properly and that they're level. Other than that, it's a waiting game for it to grow. As soon as it gets to a certain height, we'll start cutting it. You'll then gradually start to see it thicken out, and with regular fertiliser and the right maintenance programs, we should be where we want to be for the start of the season. So we've got a decent enough gap.
And we've had England at the training ground as well earlier this week. I mean, is there a similar process happening up there on the training pitches?
Yeah, so England finished there on Wednesday, and on Thursday morning the pitch that they were using has come up. That is going to be a similar sort of process, although with a different product. We're using the fibre sand, which will give us as close a possible surface there as what the first team will use here. So it's trying to mirror image both. So they're training on the training surfaces down there, which will be maintained the same way. They'll be used the same fertilisers, the same grass seed, that sort of stuff. So it's basically trying to replicate what they play on here on a match day.
Is a similar process happening up and down the country then at other different clubs as well, is it?
Yeah, it's something that's, like I said at the beginning, is quite common. It's something that everybody does. In terms of the renovation is quite crucial, really. A lot of people look at it and say, like you said, if it looks that good on the last day of the season, why do you bother ripping it up? This process enables you to have as good a possible surface throughout the whole season. Doing this makes sure that you, like I said, you get the best possible surface, really. It gets rid of any weed grasses and, like I said, gives you a true surface.
I guess this is one of the busiest times here as well then, so how much are you looking forward to seeing the pitch on the opening day?
Yeah, to be honest, I am looking forward to it. I kind of want to know now what it's going to look like, but there's a lot of work to do before that point, and we've got to make sure we get it right. And it's a busy time for me, obviously because of the training ground as well. Looking after the two sites, it's about balancing my time and making sure that both sites are ready for, obviously the training ground ready for when the first team come back for pre-season, and this ready for the opening day of the season, which I'm looking forward to.